Hello good watchers of the bike show. Now very soon I am turning the big 4-0 and you know what that means. It's time for a quick midlife crisis. So it's time to get out and see the country and see it in a way that doesn't creak my ever more fragile bones. I need a tourer. Unfortunately those things are quite expensive and I work as a journalist, so I don't make enough to get anywhere near quite expensive. Luckily, Fire It Up has found this. It's a 2007 Honda ST1300 Pan-European. So basically this is a whole lot smaller than the Goldwing. And smaller and therefore obviously sportier, but still a tourer, so kind of like a sports tourer. Which is probably why it's called an ST. Oh yes, originally Honda had the Goldwing that did phenomenally well for them. But mostly in America, where big motorcycles work. In Europe, big motorcycles get stuck in some of the smaller towns, so Honda thought to make a bike that is comfortable for touring, but not big enough that would need assistance getting around some of the tighter hairpins. Even though it's smaller, I can't imagine it being any less comfortable than the Goldwing. I can't imagine the Goldwing being any more comfortable than this is right now. The seat is really nice and soft and squishy. The ergodynamics is perfect. The handlebars are nice and high. The seat is lovely and soft. The bike's really easy to ride. It's very smooth, very comfortable. The only thing it doesn't have is any electronics, which is probably why it's still in such good nick. One thing it does have though, is you look here, so the screen currently is all the way at the top, which means you kind of get something like this. Then if you want to, you can push this button and see yourself going down. And then you have this. And it also has one more piece of tech. I'm going to have to stop for that. It's even got this big preload knob. Now, obviously winter, a bit of comfort going on, so you kind of do that. And then summer comes along and I work out and I get my summer bod on, and then, obviously, you do that. I will get a summer bod, I promise. I definitely will. Where the Goldwing is fitted with the famous flat 6 motor, the Pan-European makes do with a 1261cc V4 mounted longitudinally in the alley frame and connected to the rear wheel via a shaft. It pushes 117 horsepower and 117 Nm of torque. Imagine that. Yeah, okay, it's not a hell of a lot, but it's really not bad. This is me, I'm touring. I'm touring kind of on a used budget. I don't need 1 million horsepower. I just need to get around the country. What it is incredibly smooth. For a V. You always think the straight inline motors are smooth. This is so effortless power, effortless. Any gear, anywhere you want. Beautiful gearbox, beautiful clutch, beautiful everything. Open the throttle. Smooth pulling power forever. But if you want to change down and open the throttle, why not? That's not terrible. While we say that the Pan-European is smaller and lighter than the likes of the Goldwing, it still tips the scale at a somewhat burdensome 286 kilograms. However, as Honda has a way of doing, you don't really notice it. And because it's lighter than everything else, or the bigger bikes, it can also go around corners. This is Europe after all. Europe's have corners. America can have the Goldwing, it doesn't go around corners. Europe needs corners. Woohoo! So far it's comfortable, smooth, sprightly enough, and something that can get you to your verdant paradise. It's also 14 years old. There were things we have now that were not things back then. Apart from that, it has this old school analog dash, which is quite sort of refreshing, little numbers, and a bunch of like old school kind of buttons on the dash over there, the kind of upper class ones, not those little sticky buttons, but proper ones over here. And naturally the handlebars are nearly empty because, well, it's got no electronics. This thing is really great. Yeah, some of the very modern bikes have all sorts of nice, connect your phone, navigation, music to listen to, a million different things. But I don't know, I think if I'm going to tour, I want to get away from everything. I want to get away from my house, my entertainment system, all of that. Ask me in a few days, I'll probably be like, I want Netflix! But for now, this is everything I need. It's right over here. And I'm loving it. So, this is a 14-year-old motorcycle with 69,000 kilometers on the clock, selling for a convenient 69,000 Rand. It does everything I want for the price I wanted to do it for. But would it be wise venturing into the wild unknown on a motorcycle that is about 400 in human years? Yeah, it's 14 years old, but this is a Honda. It's going to outlive the human race. Whatever comes after us, robots or aliens or whatever, they're going to still ride this and think, oh, look, very nice for a 4,000-year-old motorbike. That's what they're going to think.
I always had a bit of a soft spot for the Pan-European. It was, and as Don found out, apparently still is, a great tool for knocking off huge distances. With a 28-litre tank on the ST1100 version, which arrived all the way back in 1990, and 29 litres on the 1300, which replaced it in 2002, you could expect to see a range of about 500 k's if you were really gentle with the throttle. There is the small, or not so small matter of that weight though. If you add Don and a few of his snacks to its 300 plus fueled up kilos, then you've got half a ton of two-wheel momentum. No wonder it had a reputation for getting a bit of a weave on if you were brave enough to head up past 180 k's an hour. In 2012, the ST1300 disappeared from Honda's model lineup, so if you wanted to go touring with the Big H, you've basically been left with the Goldwing as your only option. That has now changed with the arrival of the NT1100, a bike we showed in our news about 2 months ago when I moaned about the irritating nature of its unnecessarily artsy-fartsy promo video that didn't give us a very clear look at the bike itself. Well, thanks to EICMA, I've now seen it in the flesh, and it is actually rather attractive if you catch it from the right angle at the front. From most other angles, it's a bit awkward, bland, almost frumpy. That's probably why the video was so artistic. The NT actually makes a few less horsepower than the ST did, making do with 100, but then it does have 2 less cylinders. However, unlike that dinosaur, it has a lot of electronics, which you can tell just by looking at the number of handlebar mounted switches. This isn't so surprising when you consider that this is essentially Honda's Africa Twin, made lower and even more sensible for the road. The instruments are the same, and apart from the lack of an enduro mode, the riding modes and electronic rider aids are very similar too. What's particularly nice is the ability to run Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on that lovely colour screen, which sort of begs the question as to why they've bothered keeping the little LCD display that sits below it. In this NT, guys, the Africa Twin is sort of a Europe Twin with its dedicated road-going approach to touring, and so there is better pillion accommodation and, of course, a full set of panniers available with a matching top box. NT, by the way, actually denotes new touring era, but might more accurately denote nice twin. All very sensible, all very Honda, including the 3 riveting colour schemes, which are black, white or grey. Undoubtedly very good at moving you between the scenic spots on your biking holiday, but not quite so good at moving you emotionally. It just wouldn't be the done thing for you to actually have any fun on your holiday now, would it? Personally, if I wanted to go touring with a Honda, I'd take this. Looks amazing. A modern bobber in Goldwing form. It doesn't have the horsepower of the BMW equivalent, but it's still pretty quick, and with that DCT gearbox will undoubtedly put much more of a grin on your face than the NT ever will. The strange thing is though, there are actually some really lovely Honda models that we could be riding in South Africa, but they're just not imported. If you're interested, then please head over to our YouTube channel and I'll show you some of the excellent bikes I saw at EICMA that other Honda fans get to ride elsewhere in the world, and maybe you can ask Honda South Africa why we're missing out. And on that questioning note, we'll say goodbye for this week and see you on Christmas Day for the last episode of the year. In the meantime, a merry biking Christmas to you from all of us here at the Bike Show.